Soundtrack Secrets.
In the summer of 1968, Paul McCartney drove alone through the English countryside, heading to visit a little boy whose world had just been shaken. That boy was Julian Lennon, the son of John Lennon, who was struggling to cope with his parents' divorce. John had recently left his wife Cynthia for Yoko Ono, and the media storm surrounding their relationship made the separation even more painful for young Julian. At just 5 years old, he couldn't fully understand why his father was no longer there the way he used to be. Paul, who had always been close to John's family, felt the need to comfort Julian. On his way to see him, Paul began humming a tune in his car. Soft at first, almost like a lullaby meant to ease a child's sadness. The words naturally came out as, "Hey Jules, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better." It wasn't carefully planned. It was Paul's instinctive way of offering hope through music. At that moment, the seed of what would become one of the most iconic songs in history was planted. Not as a love song for the charts, but as a personal message to a child in pain. Paul later recalled that he wanted to tell Julian that even in dark times, things could get better. He wanted him to feel less alone, to know that life still had light after heartbreak. By writing Hey Jules, Paul wasn't only speaking to Julian, he was also expressing something universal, the idea that music could heal wounds and guide someone through their lowest moments. When Paul arrived at Cynthia's house, he shared the song with her and Julian. Cynthia later said she was deeply touched, recognizing the kindness behind Paul's gesture at a time when her family felt abandoned. For Julian, though he was too young to fully grasp the depth of the song, the memory of Paul's visit remained. Years later, he admitted that Paul had been more present for him during those difficult times than his own father. This bond between Paul and Julian added layers of sincerity to Hey Jude. It wasn't just a Beatles track, it was a real act of empathy set to melody. In many ways, the story behind the song reveals the softer side of Paul McCartney, often seen as the perfectionist of the band. Here, he wasn't chasing perfection, he was simply trying to comfort a little boy. And from that small, intimate act of compassion, Hey Jude began its journey, starting as a private message of healing before evolving into a song that would touch millions around the world. When Paul first sang the tune to himself in the car, the words he used were, "Hey Jules." It was a direct message to Julian Lennon, the boy he wanted to comfort. The name Jules fit naturally with the melody, but as Paul developed the song, he began to think about how it would sound when sung aloud to millions of people. He later explained that Jude simply sounded stronger and easier to sing than Jules. It carried a certain openness in its vowel sounds, which made it more powerful in a chorus. The change was not about erasing Julian from the song. Rather, it transformed the track from a private message into something more universal, something that could connect with anyone listening. In fact, the name Jude had a timeless quality, almost biblical in tone, which gave the song an added depth. It no longer felt like just a letter to a child. It became a hymn of encouragement. Paul also admitted that he liked the way Jude rolled off the tongue. It was smooth, lyrical, and resonated well with the emotion he was trying to capture. At first, John Lennon was surprised by the choice of name. He even joked that maybe Paul was secretly writing it about him, since Jude could be interpreted as close to John. Over time, though, John realized the sincerity of Paul's intent. He described the song as one of McCartney's greatest works, and was proud that it emerged from such a personal place. The irony is that while the song was written for Julian, John himself often found comfort in it. He once said that Paul's lyrics always had a way of reaching him, even if they weren't meant for him. For the fans, the name Jude became instantly iconic. It gave the song an identity that stood apart from typical love songs of the era, making it feel more like an anthem. The transformation from Hey Jules to Hey Jude was a subtle change, but it was the kind of artistic decision that turned a personal lullaby into a timeless classic. And so, with just a shift in one word, the song crossed the bridge from private comfort to public triumph, ready to leave its mark on music history. By July 1968, Hey Jude had evolved from a car ride melody into a fully written song. The next step was to bring it to life inside the walls of Abbey Road Studios. The Beatles gathered in Studio 2, a place that had already witnessed the birth of countless classics. But this time, something about the atmosphere felt different, more ambitious, almost sacred. Paul McCartney took the lead on piano, guiding the structure of the song. His voice carried both tenderness and power, setting the emotional core for what would become a 7-minute masterpiece. George Harrison played guitar, Ringo Starr kept the steady heartbeat on drums, and John Lennon added harmonies that gave the song its haunting depth. Each Beatle contributed in their own subtle way. But what made Hey Jude extraordinary wasn't just the band. Paul envisioned the ending as something bigger than rock and roll, an extended chorus that would feel communal, almost spiritual. To achieve this, producer George Martin arranged for a 36-piece orchestra to join the recording. Violins, violas, cellos, flutes, trumpets, and trombones layered new textures onto the track. At first, the classical musicians were skeptical. Some of them were uneasy about clapping and shouting na-na-na alongside a rock band. But Paul insisted, encouraging them to loosen up and become part of the experience. The result was magical. The orchestra's grandeur, mixed with the raw energy of the Beatles, created one of the most unforgettable codas in music history, a 4-minute sing-along that refused to end. The recording session also reflected the growing tensions within the band. Paul's perfectionism sometimes clashed with George's creativity and John's independence, yet in this moment they pushed through for the sake of the song. The final master capturing not just the notes, but the spirit of unity that Paul had envisioned from the start. When played back in the studio, everyone realized they had created something beyond ordinary pop. It was not just a song, it was an anthem of hope and resilience. And as the final na-na echoed through Abbey Road, it became clear that Hey Jude was destined to live far beyond 1968, carrying with it the sound of voices rising together as one. When Hey Jude was finally released in August 1968, it broke almost every rule in the book. At over 7 minutes long, it was the longest single ever to top the charts at that time. Many in the music industry doubted that a song this lengthy would succeed on radio, but the power of its message and melody made listeners forget about time altogether. Within weeks, Hey Jude reached #1 in countries across the globe, staying at the top of the US. Billboard Hot 100 for 9 consecutive weeks, a record for the Beatles. The public embraced it not as just another pop hit, but as something deeper, a song that seemed to speak directly to anyone who was hurting, lonely, or searching for strength. Its refrain, those endless na-na-nas, turned into a universal chant, something audiences could sing together no matter their background or language. In concerts, the song became more than music. It became a shared experience. Thousands of voices rising in unison created a sense of connection rarely felt in popular culture. Over the years, Hey Jude has been performed at some of the most historic moments in music, from Paul McCartney's world tours to massive charity events where unity was the goal. For Paul, the song remained a reminder of empathy, of how music could begin with one person's pain and transform into healing for millions. For John and Julian, it stood as a complex reminder of family, loss, and friendship, proof that songs often carry meanings far beyond their original intention. Critics hailed it as one of the greatest pop compositions of the 20th century, praising its simplicity, emotional depth, and groundbreaking length for a single. Decades later, its power hasn't faded. Whether played in stadiums, on the radio, or streaming platforms today, Hey Jude still invites people to sing along, to feel less alone, and to believe things can get better. And so, what began as a simple attempt to comfort a child in pain has become an anthem for humanity itself, an echo of hope that continues to ring through generations.